and gentlemen, for the highlight match of the evening. It is going to be Rain versus Soulkey here at the SSL Classic 2017 Season 1 with myself and Rapid Casting.
Indeed, it will be. I've got some anticipation for precipitation, Wolf.
Yep.
Rain coming up. Really one of the most impressive players I've seen, not even just because of his great history. He went from sun to rain, and now he's back again into... into Brood War, and he's just looking so good. He's won every single one of his matches, and he's the only undefeated player left in the SSL Classic.
That's right. He wants to keep his reign continued, if you will. He wants to reign at the top with a 3-0. See if Soulkey can stop him. Soulkey did pick up the free win over Light, but he was pretty crushed by Mind's timing attack and also Mind's vulture drop in the ZVT he played last 2 weeks ago in his first matchup. So Soulkey, I'd say the big underdog here. In terms of StarCraft 2 accomplishments, both of these guys did very well. Soulkey was on Woongjin Stars, by the way, which never really made it big in StarCraft 2. The team disbanded before StarCraft 2 was the main part of Pro League, whereas Rain had a lot more success in Brood War at the end, and then his team just continued on SK Telecom T1.
Yep.
And Soulkey eventually then, with Woongjin disbanding, joined SKT, so they were actually teammates at the end of their StarCraft 2 careers. Soulkey retired from StarCraft 2 to go back to Brood War first, whereas Rain stuck around a lot longer.
Yeah.
And, when you look at these two in terms of accomplishments and achievements in Brood War, they were both on the rise at the end of the Kespa era. And it's unfortunate their full potential, I feel like, was never shown. If there was no StarCraft 2, if Kespa just stuck with Brood War and there was only Brood War Pro League, I feel like these guys were the guys at the top after Flash and Jalen kind of fell apart and fell down. And these two might be the two titans because they're both really rising up.
Absolutely, and even Rain, I mean, this is one of the best players to ever play StarCraft 2. And here he is just making it look easy, the only undefeated player, like I said earlier, in the SSL Classic. Finally, he gets to face off against Soulkey. I've been waiting for this match for about 3 weeks. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get into game.
It's time. We're going into our second match here. This will again be on Medusa for the Zerg versus Protoss, and it is time to start the game, so let's get into it. Game number 2, Soulkey versus Rain.
A somewhat lopsided cheer from the crowd as we get into our sponsor cheer. And our second map of the night, once again on Neo Medusa, our yellow Zerg player. He is Soulkey.
And his opponent will be spawning down to the bottom spawn location in purple. It is Rain. Just to continue on a point really briefly that we were talking about earlier, Soulkey and Rain really hitting the peaks of their potential in Brood War before switching to StarCraft 2. They crushed it in StarCraft 2, they were killing it, and then they switched back to Brood War, sort of in, I'd say, Soulkey's decline. Rain was still actually very close to the top when he actually switched back. But I feel like there's so much more they could do in Brood War. I feel like there's still a lot of time, they're still very young, and I think that we'll be seeing more of them in the years to come. However, when you compare these two, just like the end of their StarCraft 2 careers, Rain has massively overshadowed Soulkey, I feel, with the return to Brood War.
And here we go, already looking for... Okay, I thought the probe was going to make a gateway in the middle of the map, or a pylon, then gateway, but I think he's actually just going to scout the other position, the one that Soulkey did not spawn at. And speaking of spawning, there is the pool coming up. So it is going to be pool overlord, or overlord, and then pool, overpool. There is the build. It's just kind of a middle of the road build, and given that that's not a proxy in the middle of the map, should just be a relatively even start for both players.
Indeed. I want to see how Rain wants to expand here. It's going to be the forge opening.
All right.
Which is generally the better way to expand when you've already been scouted like this, when there's an overlord flying over your wall. You're not going to have any sneaky gateway pressure coming out when that OB's in there.
Yeah, very few ways to be sneaky. Now, granted, if the Overlord scouts the wrong base, then you can have any number of crazy things happening. And because there is no ramp for the natural here on Neo Medusa, sometimes you get the bad scout as a Zerg player, you don't know what's coming your way, and all of a sudden you find yourself at the hands of, you know, the same kind of rush that's Rain has already won one of his games with. And here comes the best unit in the game, the Protoss Probe, already in that Zerg natural, scouting everything out as Nexus comes up there for Rain.
Yep. He sees the pull first. He plays a very conservative, safe Photon Cannon before Gateway after his Nexus has been planted. It's only 2 Lings so far that have been committed to. He probably went 4, but we only see the 2 for now. And that wall is going to get completed. So he drops down the Gateway.
Yeah, I actually think, yeah, Soulkey did only go for 2 Lings, so not really greedy, but certainly producing as few Zerglings as possible. That does mean that Rain will probably have that probe in there for quite a while, and it's really important as a Protoss player to keep an eye on the Zerg's larva, see what he's spending it on, so you know exactly what to expect.
Exactly. Not only that, but being able to check this 3rd base location would be really critical for Raid, so we can get an idea of how macro Soulkey is going here. But the Lings are actually trying to zone him out. He does juke by. He's going to stay inside the main base for now, just checking the larva, as you said. Drones coming out, and this is smart to only make the 2 Lings. It's a good read by Soulkey. Obviously saw the Forge coming up, saw the cannon, so knew that breaking through with multiple Lings, 4 or more, would just not really be realistic. And he's going to actually hide a lair here in the backdoor expansion, as Soulkey will be unable to deny this probe scout of the natural, although he's not going to commit to it.
So, yeah, actually really interesting. Rain doesn't know that there's a 3rd base up just yet. He can probably feel it just because he knows how many minerals there should be spent, so I think he'll actually head out to go check it right here. Or will he? No.
He doesn't really have to check it, I suppose, right now, but he doesn't see the lair. Yeah. Doesn't know about the 3rd base, so he's got limited information. He's going to open up with Corsairs almost for sure, though, so that's going to give him a lot more information. And is just checking around over and over and over again here. And obviously, if it was something crazy tricky, he would see it with the units coming out of the larva. So that's all. I guess that's what he's decided. Okay, if drones keep coming out like this, then it means he has 3 bases and probably a lair. He's going to start his Stargate to go into the Corsairs now. And this probe is still not even taking a single hit point of real damage, only shields.
This is like a Bisu probe or something. Finally, he's going to see the 3rd base up there, but won't see the lair just yet. Wow. Rain's really kind of playing that protect the worker UMS map, where you try to win the game and also keep your worker alive. Took me so long to beat that map because I'm super bad, but man, Rain is really great at getting all that information.
It's a really important skill to have, and he does show it off quite well here. There's actually going to be a Spire opening, though, and the only other thing he could have been worried about would have been like a fast Hydralisk Den at the backdoor expansion, which he did not check for. So he's just kind of relying on this very quick Corsair to actually scout and see what's coming. It's on its way now. And obviously Corsairs could deal with Mutalisks in small numbers fairly well, but the more Mutas come out, the more Photon Cannons are going to need a setup of Dragoons. So see how many Mutas also Soulkey does commit to. He's been on 3 bases for a while now.
All right, so we should see those pop out of most of the larvae as soon as the Spire does complete. In the meantime, in the backside, we are going to see the Corsairs start to pump out, and then that Templar Archives will be for Dark Templar to come out if those Corsairs can take out maybe a couple Overlords.
All the hatches actually being hidden up to the top right as well. So scouts the Spire.
Sees the pop, sees the egg morph, so he knows exactly what is coming his way. Man, Rain is really just operating with almost perfect information. You also saw the lair there as well. I mean, you're going to know that because of the Spire anyway. But anyway, just seeing everything, knows exactly what Soulkey's up to.
I'm going to go ahead and clear out Overlords that are near his base and get ready for the defense. We'll see if he adds any more Photon Cannons or if he feels content with his Corsairs for the time being. Looks like, just going to buff up a bunch of hatches.
Literally everything morphing right there. Wow.
It's far away from Rain's location, so it's a lot longer of an attack distance for him to hit it with. And this Photon Cannon actually going to protect.
Ooh. Okay, that's actually really good. Takes 2 to do many things, but also to kill a Corsair.
So he's just making Scourge only, not going to make any Mutalisks at all. And just going to try to pick off the Corsairs. So it's a big commitment for the Spire, but in terms of resources spent, the Scourge don't cost that much money. So they can also scout, as you can see here, they're kind of floating around looking for Corsairs, but they can kind of fly over the base. The little Zerg Baneling / observers, if you will.
Baneling observers, man. That's StarCraft 3 unit.
Yeah.
Don't tell anyone, guys. So here comes the DT. It's going to be immediately pushed back, and by push back, I mean... Oh my... Okay, there's another Overlord. Oh my goodness.
There's a lot of Overlords. It's not the end of the world, because he's got more here in the main. Or
no, he actually doesn't have any more in the main.
Oh boy.
Oh my god, those are slow Overlords, and he's going to get all the way back to the natural. Now, unfortunately, this is actually the worst place to go. He will get a couple of drone kills here, but...
yeah, the drone's actually trying to fight here a little bit. They're not going to be enough. It actually got a ton of Corsairs here, too.
Oh my god,
he's going to go focus this Overlord down.
He's going to save the DT and then try to kill the Overlord, run it back in. Or
oh my god, the Scourge not paying attention either. They could have gotten some free hits off. Oh boy. I mean, I feel like Soulkey has made some good answers. He's got some good tools to deal with what Rain is doing, but he's just not hitting the mark on those. So, anyways, you can see also the +1 has completed here for Rain, which is really important. The DT's not going to be too important for them, but more so for the Zealots coming out. Okay, he's coming back in looking for that Overlord, and also to snipe Corsairs. You can actually, if you target correctly, snipe them.
Wow.
Gets
Perfect
2
control.
before, and now he's going to go for this Overlord. Speed is finally done. Still going to get it.
Yeah, now he might actually look to run that Dark Templar back into that rear mineral-only base. 4th base coming up here for Soulkey as well, and I don't think that's been scouted just yet.
Okay, it looks like he just probably wants to kite back and try to kill these Scourge if he can on his way out.
Now, if we follow the action, it might actually be cool to see the control on those Corsairs. You can't magic box them, sort of screw up the AI there on the Scourge, out-micro them. Instead, he's just going to return back to the safety of the Photon Cannons.
Wow, he even got the +1 for them very early on. So.
Not making any more, though, so just sticking with the 3 or 4.
Yeah, he made so many of them to force these Overlords down. Let's not forget that the longer this game goes on, eventually Soulkey will have lurkers and he will be able to attack that backdoor position that we talked about last week and you mentioned earlier with the Protoss Temple. However, I just feel like there's already so much out here for Rain. He has Psystorm, he has the +1 for these Zealots. He can almost just fight any army Soulkey brings at him. He's even just going to commit here because he knows there are no lurkers with this army. Not even a single one.
Yeah, so waiting to morph those, and lurkers take so long to morph, so you do want to do them in sort of a secluded position. You don't want to get them caught and then canceled. So still looking to see. I think he might actually just go for lots of Hydra pressure at the front to draw out all these storms, and then come back with a second round of lurkers as he goes across the map killing Overlords. He's
just killing them so quickly. He has such a large Corsair count. He's just finding them, blowing them up, removing the vision here. Ooh, bad angle to fly here.
Okay, he doesn't lose any. A little bit of a stressful moment.
Okay, this is likely a storm drop. We saw this a lot already, and because he delayed, or rather denied, excuse me, the Overlords for the most part, there's no way.
Here comes the Scourge. See how well they get cloned. Will connect and take out 1 Corsair.
But he knows now he can kind of escort this shuttle. He knows where the Scourge were. He wanted to deny the Overlord so that the shuttle could come in unscouted, but there are still Scourge here, so he has to be really careful how he does. He's just going to avoid those Scourge.
Oh man, this is going to be very, very careful, very dangerous. We've seen Rain with great storm drops before.
This is, I think, almost literally just a distraction right now. He really wants him to focus on everything. It's actually DTs.
Oh my god.
Not the storm drops.
Yeah, double DTs in both the main and the rear mineral only. Not a lot to stop them. And this DT racking up 5 kills in the main will finally get taken out.
Okay, he needs to morph lurkers soon. There's already so many Psystorm on the map, so many Psystorms. Didn't even use those in the drop. Got so many drone kills regardless. Soulkey does have this 4th base up in mining. He's got the gas up and he's got an extra hatchery going. He's got a good amount of macro. Like, he's killed a lot of drones, yes, but he has not gotten massively ahead in terms of army. And Soulkey still has this really big Hydra count. You can see he's got them fanning across the map now. He's morphing the lurkers finally. And Rain has a fairly small army comparatively, but the Storm is the key. He's also going to have +2 very soon.
really is, Wolf. And Rain by now has several storms built up back at home. Finally now pushing out. Going to be met right at the front of his door by all these Hydras pushing forward, taking out those observers. They're all gone.
That was a huge mistake by Rain to have his observers that far at the front. Now he has nothing to spot for the lurkers. He can still kill them with Psystorm if he's able to hit them at the perfect mark, if he knows where they are before he storms. Not always the case, obviously. A good splitting here so far from Soulkey.
Taking out that block there at the bottom, so might be vulnerable to having some cutesy lings coming back up there. I think the big thing is going to be how successful these DT drops. I think this one is actually a storm drop, though.
Let's see. Zealot's usually an indicator it's Psystorm. Oh, it's just pure Zealot.
Oh, wow, okay.
4 Zealots. That's going to be pretty worthless against these Hydras, sadly.
Actually, would not have expected just a pure Zealot drop. I mean, the idea with dropping Zealots is that if there's not a whole lot there, they can run in and like snipe a hatchery if you're not really careful about it. But these should actually be fairly easy to clear up, although they're taking out, they're taking out quite a bit.
He's just kind of elevated a few more in there to distract the army of Soulkey. Good Micro here on the Hydras, actually. Look at this.
Oh my god.
Micro. It almost feels unnecessary, but it's so good.
Yeah, nobody made that Twitter campaign, Hydra Lives Matter. Not a lot of times you just see them thrown away, but morphing even more lurkers. But now the Hydra's returning back from having cleared up one drop. Oh,
nice.
Perfect. Okay, almost. There we go. Perfect Scourge, taking out the shuttle. And denying more harassment means that now Soulkey can focus all of his effort in crushing Rain's army at the front.
Okay, there are 4 High Templar, potentially 8 Psystorms in this army. So obviously Soulkey needs to be very careful with how he deals with this. Trying to drop units here in the middle of the fight, going to be too effective. And now this Rus army is starting to march through and take these lurkers out one by one.
Trying to take out the Observer there with that Scourge. I think the Observer actually does survive. No, it gets taken out there. And it's going to make these lurkers very valuable.
He's going to have to wait until he has more if he wants to hard engage, because without vision, it's just too risky to kind of blind storm and fight in. The Lurker Splash is so powerful.
Trying to get some Zerglings in and around behind this army. This will, make this base a little bit more difficult to take at the 9 o'clock, and also kind of interesting to see Rain expanding further towards Soulkey.
Here we go. He's just going to go forward here with the Storms. The Observer in good position here this time.
Oh, crazy good Storms there out at the front. Nothing can make it on top of Rain's army.
Rain just has such a high-tech army here. He's got so many Dragoons. The Storms are once again solid, clearing up so many Zerglings. He needs to get the Zealots. Okay, here come the Zealot reinforcements. They need to be at the front. Good Storm here again, actually hitting several of the Hydras, but the Lings do get through. Again, the Zealots are not at the front of the army. They need to be.
Continuing to pull back here, Storms as he does retreat, but more and more Zerg pushing forward. Rain's army thinning out, but finally Soulkey backs off.
I feel like overall that was a really good trade for Soulkey, because the army positioning for Rain was not perfect, and he lost a lot of Dragoons in that exchange. Whereas with 4 bases up for Soulkey and all the extra back patches, it's okay to lose a few Hydras.
Oh wow, Rain actually just walking into the majority of Soulkey's army left out on the map. Lurkers burrowing.
Okay, big Zealot drop here again too, Rapid, as he's going to stop this base from mining. But Soulkey has full control of the middle of the map. This is just a temporary annoyance on the left side for that harassment. He does secure this base for the time being, but oh no, he's totally surrounded here by the Lurkers. Can he get out? That's the question here.
High Templar's in a really rough spot. Zealot's not in front. They're actually all behind. Do need to get them on top of Soulkey's units. He continues to push forward with Hydras.
Doesn't look like he has any more Storms. If he did, he'd be using them. Okay, one more does get dropped here on these Lurkers. Doesn't secure the kill. Here's another good one. He just needs an Observer nearby. Okay, he's got several. He just needs to move forward here. His Lings getting a good angle. These units are forcing this nasty bridge, this choke point.
Wow, and these are crack upgraded Zerglings. So much damage dealt so quickly. Rain's force is thinning as he backs himself into the corner of this 9 o'clock.
Yeah, he's going to come back here and try to help defend the space. Soulkey actually takes a bit at the 3 o'clock base. This army cannot be here. He does not want to lose these Observers either. He needs to back off and regroup.
Wow. And this is when the game kind of turns into whose macro is better. Both players have gotten a ton of bases up, lots of resources coming their way. It's all about what you can do with it. Rain has tried to be a little bit tricky, continuing to drop his DTs in, Zealot drops in there. Wasn't able to kill that Hive off, but he did get it below half HP, so that's going to be a little bit dangerous. But yeah, really going to be interesting to see whose macro is more on top of it, as finally Defilers are out for Soulkey.
We saw, even when massively ahead ahead for Hero last week, Defilers can do great with playing against a Protoss army, but when you're actually ahead, or even on even footing, but this case ahead, you can do so much. He's going to use Dark Swarm with this engage here. Photon Cannons, though, still doing as much damage as they can, but Zealots and Storms will clean up the Zerglings despite the Dark Swarm.
I think Rain actually did lose a couple of High Templar, or I think maybe one High Templar in there. Great job dealing with that, but there's more Zerg piling in. Yeah,
more and more Zerg piling in, and Soulkey has taken control of the middle of the map. We're going to see him perhaps lose part of it, though. This is the one area where he's most vulnerable with the big arc he's made on the map. Zerglings.
Observers get taken out.
Zerglings coming in as observers are sniped, and the lurkers are protected here by the Dark Swarm. There's one observer left, but he types out anyways. GG.
Wow.
And Soulkey will take the win. Rain no longer undefeated in SSL Classic.
And what a player to take him out. A guy that he has played against, most likely at StarCraft 2 and StarCraft 1, and now coming back again. Soulkey, masterful execution, able to get up his bases whenever he needed them, defend, and then more impressively, just hold and maintain that spot out in the middle. Looking a little bit like a Spanish Zerg player, because the Rain in Spain stays mainly on the plains.
That's right. Look, I mean, I feel like that was really well controlled by Soulkey. Someone's got to get that guy out of the camera shots. That's like 3
We need Red Eye in here to kick him out, man.
All right. So anyways,
no, he's going back. Where's guy number 3?
Okay, anyways.
All right, we're good. Gotta get the SSL bouncers in here to defend our cameras.
I'm just going to go chase him down. But thank you.
We got to point at him, man.
I'm glad you love StarCraft.
Meanly as they walk by.
I'm glad you love StarCraft, but you can't walk in front of the camera. So anyways, the tech that there was there for Rain was much better, but he had the smaller army. Soulkey actually got control of the map. He had several extra hatcheries as third base, and then we took his fourth. He had extra hatches there as well. So he just had this massive Hydra count, then supported by lurkers, and eventually to the Defilers. Rain did some economic damage, but the economy of Soulkey was already big enough to where every time we saw Rain put these expensive tech units in the drops, even these Zealots in the drops, stopped mining for a little bit, but no massive damage was ever done.
Right.
And he was stuck on 3 bases for so long. Finally got the 4th base, but it was too little too late. We had some control mistakes. I feel like that was the big turning point as well. When the Dragoons were in front of the Zealots couldn't give the buffer. And he didn't lose everything there, but Soulkey from that moment solidified control of the middle of the map, where the Rain stayed mostly in the plane, but was never able to cross past into Soulkey's bases.
Indeed, he did great control and execution there by Soulkey. He comes off of a walkover win yesterday into a win today. That's going to take us into our 3rd map. We'll have that and the last one coming up after a short commercial break, so don't go anywhere. We'll be right back with game number 3, tonight's SSL Classic.